Hello there, and welcome to Infinite Earth Stories, where curiosity becomes calm and the mysteries of existence unfold like a bedtime lullaby. Tonight, you don't need to hurry. You don't need to hold on tightly to the day or to tomorrow. For the next little while, the world can wait. This is your time to slow down, to soften, to rest. Because tonight's story isn't about rushing toward answers. It's about wonder. It's about drifting into a question so old, so vast, that it feels less like something we solve, and more like something we float inside. That question is simple, but strange. What if life isn't linear? What if life isn't a straight arrow fired once into the darkness? What if life is a circle? Take a breath. Inhale. And exhale. Already, you are living the truth of that question. Breath does not go in one direction. It returns. It loops. You breathe in, you breathe out. You breathe out, you breathe in. A rhythm, a return, a soft circle, sustaining you moment by moment. Now imagine that breath is not only the rhythm of your body, but the rhythm of time itself. Imagine that all of existence inhales and exhales, that lives, moments, and histories move not forward in one straight line, but around and around endlessly, like tides pulled by a moon you cannot see. Have you ever felt the world tilt just for a moment, as if time folded over itself? A smell, a sound, a glance, and suddenly you feel certain, I have been here before. This is déjà vu. Science calls it a misfire of memory, the brain tricking itself. But for thousands of years, people have wondered if it is something else. A glimpse of another life, a fragment of another turning, a whisper from the wheel. Perhaps déjà vu is a reminder, a soft tap on the shoulder from eternity saying, you are returning, you are circling, you are part of something endless. And if that is true, then perhaps déjà vu is not eerie at all, but comforting. Proof, however fleeting, that you are woven into the fabric of return. If you step outside on a clear night and tilt your head to the sky, you will notice something. The stars move, slowly, gently, in circles. They rise, they arc, they fall, and then they rise again. To our eyes, it seems as if the heavens themselves are turning around us in an endless wheel. The sun, too, follows its path. Dawn, noon, dusk, night, and then back to dawn. We mark our lives by these cycles. We rise with the light, we rest in the dark, we rise again. The moon swells, grows round, then fades, then swells again. The seasons follow one another faithfully. Spring blossoms, summer warms, autumn fades, winter sleeps. And then, the circle begins again. Even our bodies remember these rhythms. Your heart does not beat once and stop. It repeats endlessly, a pulse of life, a rhythm of return. When we see carefully, when we listen closely, it becomes almost impossible to believe in straight lines. Nature does not march forward. It circles, it repeats, it breathes. So perhaps it is no wonder that human beings, since the earliest times, have wondered. If the world itself is a circle, might life be a circle too? Long before science, long before philosophy, there were stories. Stories told by firelight, whispered across generations, passed from voice to ear, from parent to child. In ancient India, the sages who composed the Vedas spoke of samsara, the endless wheel of existence. To them, a single life was not the whole story. Birth was not a beginning. Death was not an ending. Each life was but one turn of the wheel. The soul moved onward, carrying the threads of action and intention, weaving them into the fabric of a new life. To live was to spin upon the wheel. To act was to set in motion the causes that would shape the next turning, and to awaken, to see the wheel for what it was to step beyond it, into freedom. The Buddhists painted this wheel in vivid imagery. The wheel of becoming showed creatures caught in different realms of existence: gods, humans, animals, spirits. At the center turned the forces of desire and ignorance, keeping the wheel spinning. Around its rim stood the Buddha, pointing not in condemnation, but in reminder. Even this great wheel is only a pattern, and to see a pattern clearly is the first step toward release. And far away, across mountains and seas, the Stoics of Greece and Rome whispered of a different, but strangely similar cycle. They imagined the universe itself not as eternal in one form, but as eternally repeating. The cosmos, they said, would burn in fire, collapse, and then be born anew, again and again, in endless cycles. Every event, every life, every word you speak would return, endlessly, exactly as before. And perhaps most hauntingly, the philosopher Nietzsche, many centuries later, revived this thought as a test. If you had to live this life again, not once, but countless times, would you rejoice in it? Now, rest for a moment. Let your breath find its rhythm. Inhale and exhale. Listen to the sound of it. Notice how natural it is to return. How gentle, how soothing. Life as a circle is not a punishment. It is not a trap. It is a lullaby. The wheel of time is not chains, but music. Every note repeats, and in its repetition becomes beautiful. Have you ever felt déjà vu? That strange flicker, that eerie shiver when a moment feels familiar. You walk into a room, and it feels as if you have walked into it before. You meet someone for the first time, and yet your heart whispers, "I know you." A word is spoken, and you are sure you have already heard it. Science tells us it may be a trick of memory, a misfiring of recognition. But in the quiet of night, we can allow ourselves to wonder, what if déjà vu is something more? What if it is a glimpse of the cycle? A slip of awareness showing us that, yes, we have been here before, not in imagination, but in truth. What if every smile, every sorrow, every night like this has happened before, and will happen again? To imagine life as a line is to imagine endings. To imagine life as a circle is to imagine continuations. If your story is a circle, then nothing is wasted. Nothing is lost. Every kindness you give will return. Every beauty you notice will bloom again. Every breath is eternal because it repeats. And so, as you drift deeper into this thought, let it soothe you. You need not control it. You need not fear it. You need only rest within it. Because if time is a circle, then this moment, right now, lying here, listening, breathing, is infinite. It will return again and again, and each time it will be just as real, just as gentle, just as yours. The ancients did not imagine circles only in stories of gods and souls. They saw them written everywhere. To live on earth is to live inside patterns that repeat. The tide does not rise once and vanish. It returns. Pulled by the moon, whispered into motion by gravity, it comes and goes in endless rhythm. And for as long as human beings have walked by the shore, we have watched, we have listened, and we have wondered what it means that the sea never ends its movement, never holds still, always returns. The sun, too, is faithful. It sets, it falls into the dark, and yet always it returns. To the earliest people, this was no guarantee. To them, the dark was dangerous. Would the light ever come back? Could the world be trusted to circle again into dawn? And yet, day after day it did. And so hope itself became a circle. The seasons are another wheel. Spring is not a one-time event. It arrives, blossoms, departs, returns. Winter's chill is not forever, but part of a turning. Even death, in this way, is softened. For winter leads to spring. For stillness leads to movement. For endings lead back to beginnings. Perhaps that is why so many cultures embrace the idea that life itself, birth, death, and what lies beyond, must also be part of a wheel. The world itself whispered it to them. The world still whispers it to us if we are quiet enough to listen. In Hindu thought, the wheel of samsara is not just an abstract idea. It is vivid, detailed, precise. The soul, or Atman, is eternal, but it takes on bodies as we take on clothing. One life is not the whole story, but a single garment in a vast wardrobe. The law of karma guides the turnings. Every action, every choice, every word is a seed. Some seeds bloom quickly, others take lifetimes, but all shape what comes next. To live is to sow. To die is to reap. And to be reborn is to walk once more among the fields of cause and effect. This might sound heavy, but to many it was not frightening. It was reassuring. It meant that nothing ended completely, that love lost was not lost forever, that mistakes made could be mended in another life, that the soul was not fragile but persistent, carried by the wheel itself. And in the great epic poems, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, this cycle is not despair, but a path toward freedom. To awaken to the wheel is to loosen it, to see that you are more than the turns, more than the bodies, more than the roles, that behind the cycle is a stillness, a silence, a unity that never changes. Buddhism took the idea of samsara and gave it imagery. The Bhava Chakra, the wheel of becoming, is a great circle painted on monastery walls. At its center are three animals, a pig, a snake, and a rooster. Symbols of ignorance, aversion, and desire. These three keep the wheel turning, for ignorance blinds us, aversion pushes us, and desire pulls us. Around them are the 6 realms of existence: godly realms of beauty, human realms of striving, animal realms of instinct, ghostly realms of hunger, hellish realms of suffering. And all of it is bound in the grip of impermanence. None of it is fixed. None of it is forever. But all of it repeats, life after life, turn after turn. Yet, painted at the edge, often at the top, is the figure of the Buddha. He does not break the wheel. He does not destroy it. He points beyond it. The message is gentle, simple. To see the wheel is to already step outside of it. Awareness itself loosens the grip. And perhaps, in our lives, that is also true. To see our own cycles, our habits, our repeated mistakes, our recurring joys, is to begin to soften them. To know we are not trapped, but part of a rhythm, and that rhythm can be danced with, not only endured. Meanwhile, across the ancient world, the Stoics imagined another circle. To them, it was not only souls that repeated, but the universe itself. The cosmos would one day collapse into fire, burning all to ash, and then, from the ash, it would be reborn, exactly as before. Every event, every life, every choice would recur endlessly. This idea, later echoed by Nietzsche, is called the eternal return. Nietzsche posed it not only as philosophy, but as a challenge. He asked, if you had to live this life again, not once, but forever, would you embrace it? Would you say yes, even to the sorrows, even to the mistakes? It is a haunting thought, but also a liberating one. For if every act is eternal, then every act is precious. Every kindness ripples forever. Every beauty repeats endlessly. And in that thought, life itself becomes sacred, not because it happens only once, but because it happens always. Have you ever felt the world tilt just for a moment, as if time folded over itself? A smell, a sound, a glance, and suddenly you feel certain, I have been here before. This is déjà vu. Science calls it a misfire of memory, the brain tricking itself. But for thousands of years, people have wondered if it is something else. A glimpse of another life, a fragment of another turning, a whisper from the wheel. Perhaps déjà vu is a reminder, a soft tap on the shoulder from eternity saying, you are returning, you are circling, you are part of something endless. And if that is true, then perhaps déjà vu is not eerie at all, but comforting. Proof, however fleeting, that you are woven into the fabric of return. So what would it mean to live inside a circle? To wake each day knowing that it will come again and again, forever. It might mean slowing down, savoring, letting the taste of fruit linger, because you know it will return, but also that each time it will be new. It might mean forgiving more quickly because hurt does not end with one life, but ripples across many. Why carry it endlessly when you can set it down? It might mean finding peace in small things, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of rain, because these are eternal. They are not fleeting. They are patterns. They are promises. And perhaps most of all, it means seeing that you are not fragile. You are not temporary. You are part of something vast, ancient, repeating. You are not alone. You are part of the circle. And so, part one ends as it began, with a question. What if life is not linear, but cyclical? What if this very moment is infinite, returning endlessly, whispering to itself through time? You do not need to answer. You need only rest inside the wonder. As you breathe, as you soften, as you drift towards sleep, remember, every inhale returns. Every heartbeat returns. Every star will set and rise again. And perhaps, so will you. This is the doorway to our next part, where we leave myth and enter philosophy more deeply. Where we see not only the stories of cycles, but the echoes of them in the universe itself. But for now, let the wheel turn without effort. Let the tide move without struggle. Let time circle around you like a soft embrace, because perhaps it has always been so. Perhaps it will always be so. And perhaps that is enough. As we drift onward from the first turning of our story, we carry with us a question. What if life is not a straight line, but a circle? What if, like the breath, like the tide, like the stars that rise and fall across the sky, we are part of a rhythm that repeats? To explore this thought more deeply, we turn not only to nature, but to the wisdom of those who came before us. For thousands of years, human beings have looked at the world and seen not just beginnings and endings, but cycles, returns, and endless renewals. In myths and philosophies scattered across time, a common thread appears: the idea that existence itself may be caught in a wheel. In the ancient traditions of India, this wheel is called samsara. Imagine it, a great turning circle, vast beyond measure, upon which all beings ride. Birth, death, and rebirth are not separate journeys, but points upon the wheel. To live is to turn, to die is to turn, to be reborn is to turn again. The soul, or Atman, is said to move through this cycle endlessly, taking on different forms as easily as we might change clothing. One life does not hold the whole story, but is a single verse in a song without end. And what directs the turning of this wheel? Karma, not punishment, not reward. Simply the gentle law of cause and effect. Every action, every thought, every intention plants a seed. Some seeds bloom quickly, others take lifetimes, but all grow into the conditions of what is to come. Pause here. Imagine your own life as a field. Each word you've spoken, each choice you've made, is a seed dropped into the soil. Some you may already see blooming. Friendships, love, the fruits of your work. Others may be waiting, hidden beneath the earth, to rise in another season, another chapter, perhaps even another life. To live in samsara is to live in this field of return, and to awaken, to step beyond the wheel, is to see the field for what it is, to understand that you are more than the seeds, more than the harvest, more than even the turning seasons. There is, beneath it all, a stillness untouched by cycles, a stillness called liberation. In the Bhagavad Gita, a sacred dialogue of this tradition, the god Krishna speaks to the warrior Arjuna. He reminds him that the soul cannot be burned by fire, cannot be drowned by water, cannot be ended by death. Life turns, bodies fade, but the soul endures. To see this is to soften fear, to trust the wheel, and also to glimpse beyond it. Now, take a slow breath. Inhale and exhale. Feel the rhythm of the air moving in and out of your body. Each breath is a tiny samsara, a birth and a death, a beginning and an ending, repeated countless times through your life. And just as the breath sustains you, the turning of existence sustains all life. Without endings, there can be no beginnings. Without sleep, no waking. Without winter, no spring. Without death, no renewal. Perhaps this is why the sages of India found peace in samsara. Not because life was free of suffering, but because suffering itself was part of a greater rhythm, a wheel that promised return, renewal, and the chance for awakening. There is a story told in many ways in many traditions about a river. Imagine it now. The river flows on and on. At times it is calm, at times wild, at times wide, at times narrow. But always it flows, and within it, leaves float. Each leaf has its journey, a moment caught in a whirlpool, a moment drifting freely, a moment caught upon a stone, then released again. The leaves are like lives. Each one seems separate, and yet all are carried by the same water. This is samsara, the endless river of being. To see it is to understand that your life is not alone, not fragile, not fleeting. You are carried, as all are carried, upon the same current. From samsara, the Buddhists painted their own image of the cycle, the bhavachakra, or wheel of becoming. On monastery walls, this wheel is drawn in vivid color. In its center, 3 animals turn endlessly: a pig, a snake, and a rooster, symbols of ignorance, aversion, and desire. These 3 keep the wheel spinning. Ignorance blinds us, desire pulls us, aversion pushes us. And so we move from life to life, realm to realm, never quite free, never quite still. Around the center are the 6 realms of existence. Realms of gods, of humans, of animals, of hungry spirits, of suffering, of bliss. Each realm has its joys, its pains. None are permanent. All are caught in the wheel. But look closely at the painting, and you will see, often at the edge, the figure of the Buddha. He does not stop the wheel. He does not break it. Instead, he points beyond it. His gesture is simple, but profound. To see the wheel clearly is already to loosen its hold. Awareness itself is the beginning of freedom. As you listen, let your mind rest on this image. A great wheel, turning, turning, turning. At its center, the forces of desire and ignorance. Around its rim, the many realms of existence. And beyond it, a quiet figure, pointing to the horizon. This is not a demand. It is not a command. It is an invitation to notice the cycles, to see them clearly, and to find peace even within them. As you listen, let your mind rest on this image. A great wheel, turning, turning, turning. At its center, the forces of desire and ignorance. Around its rim, the many realms of existence. And beyond it, a quiet figure, pointing to the horizon. This is not a demand. It is not a command. It is an invitation to notice the cycles, to see them clearly, and to find peace even within them. The Wheel of Becoming shows us that existence is not fixed. It turns, it shifts, it changes, but it also repeats. The same forces that bind us in one life bind us again in the next. And yet, the Buddhists taught, to see this clearly is already to begin to wake from it. Think of your own cycles, habits you return to, patterns that play out again and again. Maybe it is a thought that circles in your mind, a memory that returns uninvited, or a joy you never tire of repeating. These too are small wheels, turning within the greater wheel. And perhaps, in seeing them, we can find a little freedom, a little gentleness, a little space between the turning and the self that watches the turning. Far away in another time, the Stoics of Greece and Rome imagined a different wheel, not of souls, but of the universe itself. To them, the cosmos was alive in fire. Not destructive fire, but purifying fire, the fire of renewal. They believed that one day, all that exists would burn, collapse, and dissolve into flame. But from that flame, the universe would be born again, exactly as before. Not just similar, exactly the same. Every event, every life, every word, every breath, repeated down to the smallest detail. This is the eternal return. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminded himself that everything he saw had happened before and would happen again. Empires rise, empires fall. Seasons turn. People are born and die. Stars blaze and fade. And all of it repeats endlessly, in cycles beyond our imagining. Centuries later, Nietzsche revived this thought, but he gave it a sharper edge. He asked, "What if a voice came to you in the night, whispering that this life you now live, you must live again and again, forever? Every pain, every joy, every word, every silence, repeated, without change, without end. Would you despair, or would you rejoice?" Nietzsche called this the greatest test. To embrace eternal return was to embrace life fully, with all its sorrows and all its beauty. To say yes, even to suffering, even to mistakes, was to live with courage. For if life repeats, then every act is eternal. Every kindness ripples without end. Every moment matters, because every moment is forever. These ideas can sound vast, heavy, almost impossible to grasp, but we can find them in simple things. Think of the tide. It comes in, it goes out. It always returns. You could sit by the shore for 1,000 years, and still the tide would repeat. Think of the seasons. Each year, spring blossoms, summer warms, autumn fades, winter rests. Each year, the same, and yet each time different. The cycle repeats, but it never grows stale. Think of your heartbeat. It does not beat once and stop. It beats again and again, a steady rhythm of return. Think of your breath. Inhale, exhale. Inhale again. Each breath is the smallest eternal return. a cycle that sustains you, endless, until your last. Even the stars are born, burn, collapse, and from their remnants, new stars are born again. The universe itself breathes in galaxies. Expansion, collapse, expansion again. Everywhere we look, the wheel turns. And then there is that strange, fleeting shiver we call déjà vu. A moment when the wheel seems to show itself. You step into a room you have never seen, and yet you feel you have stood there before. You hear words spoken, and yet you are sure you have already heard them. Science tells us it may be a trick of the brain, a short circuit of memory. But when it happens, it does not feel like a glitch. It feels like a whisper, a reminder, a glimpse of the wheel. What if déjà vu is the memory of another cycle? What if it is your mind remembering itself across the turnings of time? And what if that eerie familiarity is not a mistake, but a gift? A soft reminder that you are not on a line, but within a circle, that you have been here before, and you will be here again. So how do we live if life is a circle? If the universe itself returns, if our stories repeat, if every breath is eternal? Perhaps it means slowing down, savoring, letting moments linger because they will return, but never quite in the same way. Perhaps it means forgiveness. Why carry hurt endlessly when the wheel will only return it again? Better to release it, to soften it, to let it go. Perhaps it means courage. If every act is eternal, then even small kindnesses matter forever. Even a smile, even a gentle word, ripples through eternity. And perhaps it means peace. For nothing is ever truly lost. The wheel returns, the tide comes back. The sun rises again, life circles and circles and circles. And so, as part 2 draws to its close, we return to the question that guided us here. What if life is not linear but cyclical? The ancients answered with wheels of samsara, with fires of eternal return, with painted cycles of rebirth. Nature answers with tides, with seasons, with breath. And our own minds answer with déjà vu, those shivers of repetition that remind us, you have been here before. We carry these ideas forward into the next part of our journey. For now, we turn from myth and philosophy to science itself, to the cycles written in the stars, in the galaxies, in the atoms of our bodies. For even in the language of science, the wheel is there, spinning, whispering, eternal. But before we move on, rest in the rhythm of your own breath. Inhale. Exhale. And again. A cycle as old as life, as close as your chest, as endless as time itself. In the myths of samsara, in the paintings of the Wheel of Becoming, in the Stoics' eternal return, we saw how the ancients imagined life as a circle. And yet this idea is not only ancient story. The more we look with science, through telescopes, microscopes, equations, and experiments, the more we find that the universe itself is built upon rhythms, upon returnings, upon cycles that bind us all. The wheel is not only in the mind, it is written into the stars, into the cells of our bodies, into the pulse of time itself. Look up at the night sky. The stars may appear still, scattered like salt across black velvet, but in truth, they are moving. Slowly, across unimaginable spans of time, entire galaxies dance. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, is on a long journey toward its neighbor, the Andromeda Galaxy. They move closer, ever so gently, over billions of years. And one day, far in the future, the two will meet. They will not crash like cars on a highway, but merge, swirl, and spin together in a cosmic embrace. Stars will be pulled into new orbits, new clusters will form, and from the collision, a new galaxy will emerge. And yet, this is not a unique event. Across the universe, galaxies collide and merge endlessly. Each collision looks like an ending, but it is also a beginning, destruction, and creation, forever repeating. A cosmic rhythm of dissolution and renewal. Within galaxies, stars themselves are born, live, and die in cycles. Imagine a vast nebula, a cloud of gas and dust drifting through space. Slowly, gravity gathers it. Slowly, the cloud collapses, and a star ignites. For millions, sometimes billions of years, it burns, giving warmth and light to its planets. But even stars do not last forever. They expand, they contract, and in their final breaths, some explode as supernovae, scattering their elements across space. Iron, carbon, oxygen, the very materials of life, are hurled into the cosmos. From that dust, new stars form, new planets coalesce, and perhaps on some of those planets, new life begins. The star that once died becomes the soil of a new world. The circle continues. Even the atoms in your body, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, were forged in ancient stars. You are, quite literally, part of this cosmic cycle. You are stardust repeating itself. Closer to home, Earth itself moves in cycles. Each day, our planet turns once upon its axis. Sunrise, sunset, light, dark, awake, asleep. The rhythm of day and night is the oldest clock we know. Each year, Earth circles the sun. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. Our calendars, our rituals, our lives are bound to this turning. Even when we forget it, when we bury ourselves in artificial light and digital time, our bodies still know. The rhythm of Earth whispers through us in hormones, in sleep, in mood, in energy. And beyond the year, Earth wobbles in longer cycles, its tilt shifting, its orbit stretching and shrinking. These slow dances of the planet shape the coming and going of ice ages, the rise and fall of climates. Even geology itself moves in cycles. Above us, the moon follows its own turning. Each month, it waxes and wanes, from darkness to brightness and back again. For thousands of years, human beings have marked time by this cycle. Festivals, planting, harvests, all once followed the moon's rhythm. Sometimes, the moon moves between Earth and sun, and we see an eclipse. The light vanishes, then returns. A dramatic reminder that even the heavens move in repeating patterns. Each eclipse, not a one-time event, but part of a cycle that will come again. The more we look outward, the more cycles we see. Galaxies merging, stars burning and renewing, planets turning, moons waxing. Everywhere return, everywhere rhythm. And this rhythm is not cold, it is comforting. For it tells us that endings are never final, that destruction carries creation, that loss carries renewal. When you look at the night sky, you are not seeing stillness. You are seeing cycles written across billions of years. And in that, perhaps, is the greatest comfort. The universe is not a line rushing toward an end, but a circle turning upon itself endlessly. But the wheel is not only in the stars, it is also within you. Your body, your very being, is built upon cycles. Consider the circadian rhythm, your inner clock. Even without watches or calendars, your body knows the cycle of day and night. Hormones rise and fall, energy waxes and wanes. Body temperature shifts in a 24-hour rhythm. You are tuned to the turning of the earth, every cell listening to the cycle of light and dark. When morning comes, your body stirs. Cortisol rises, waking you. As the day moves on, energy builds, then gently declines. As night falls, melatonin begins to flow, inviting sleep. This rhythm is as old as life itself, shaped by countless generations under the sun and stars. And so, when you lie down to sleep, you are not defying the world, but joining it. You are flowing with Earth's turning, part of a circle much larger than yourself. Even more intimate are the cycles of your own body. Place a hand upon your chest and you will feel it, the steady beat of your heart. Not once, not twice, but endlessly, rhythm upon rhythm, from your first breath to your last. The heart contracts, releases, contracts again. A cycle so steady we forget it, and yet without it, we could not live a moment. And the breath, inhale, exhale, inhale again. Another cycle, another return. It is the smallest eternal recurrence carried in your body. Each breath is both an ending and a beginning, both death and rebirth, sustaining you quietly through all your days. When you are calm, the breath slows. When you sleep, it deepens. When you wake, it quickens. And always it returns. This is why so many traditions use the breath in meditation. For the breath is a teacher. It reminds us that life is not a line, but a rhythm. Not a march, but a return. Even within sleep, there are cycles. As you drift into slumber, your brain does not fall silent. It moves through stages, light sleep, deep sleep, dreaming, and then back again. Each night you pass through these stages in gentle waves, circling through them 4, 5, sometimes 6 times. Dreams come, fade, return. The body sinks, rises, sinks again. The cycle of sleep restores you, heals you, renews you, and each morning you wake as if reborn. Even rest is not stillness, it is rhythm. It is return. Cycles are not only in galaxies and stars, or in the steady beat of your heart. They are everywhere in living things. Every plant, every creature, every cell is caught in rhythms older than memory. Think of trees. Each year, they sprout leaves, grow green, then shed, then rest, only to sprout again. The cycle of growth and rest is not weakness, but survival. It is how trees live for centuries, even millennia, not by rushing forward, but by returning again and again to renewal. Animals, too, live in cycles. Birds migrate with the seasons, flying south when the cold comes, returning north when warmth returns. Bears hibernate, slowing their bodies to sleep through winter, then rising again in spring. Even the smallest creatures, insects, plankton, bacteria, live by cycles of growth, rest, renewal. And within your body, within every body, the deepest cycle of all turns quietly. DNA replicating, cells dividing, life creating itself again and again. The code of who you are is written into a rhythm that repeats with breathtaking precision, sustaining you, renewing you, keeping you alive. Life itself is not a straight line. It is a spiral, returning endlessly to the same patterns, each time slightly new, each time slightly changed. The cycles do not stop with the body. They live in the mind as well. Think of habits. A thought arises and action follows. A reward is felt, and so the cycle repeats, again and again, until it becomes automatic. Habits shape our lives not because they happen once, but because they return. To change them is to notice the cycle, to soften it, to turn it gently in a new direction. Think of memory. Sometimes we return again and again to the same moment. A joy replayed, a sorrow relived, a question unanswered. Memory itself is a circle, looping us back to places we thought we had left. And think of history. Nations rise, nations fall, wars begin, wars end, only for new ones to begin. Technologies appear, transform the world and then fade, only to be replaced by something strangely familiar. Human history, too, is caught in cycles, repeating its lessons until we are ready to learn them. Perhaps this is why déjà vu feels so powerful. It is not only the brain misfiring, it is the echo of cycles we already know. Personal cycles, ancestral cycles, cosmic cycles. A reminder that repetition is everywhere, and that we are participants in it. And then, beyond the visible world, science itself whispers of deeper cycles. Some physicists suggest that the universe did not begin with a single bang, rushing outward forever, but with a bounce, a cycle of expansion, contraction, and expansion again, a universe breathing across eternity. Others imagine eternal inflation, where new universes are constantly budding from old ones, each carrying echoes of the same patterns. A multiverse not of chaos, but of cycles branching endlessly. And some suggest time itself may be a loop, that if you traveled far enough in the right way you would not reach an end, but return to your beginning. That the arrow of time is not an arrow at all, but a circle we cannot yet see. These theories are not settled. They are questions, possibilities, glimpses. But even in the most advanced mathematics, the wheel appears again and again. Even science, reaching beyond stars and atoms, seems to return to the same truth. Nothing ends. Everything cycles. If time is a loop, perhaps it is not a flat circle, endlessly repeating without change, but a spiral. Imagine a coiled spring, each turn like the one before, but each also slightly different, slightly higher, slightly new. In this way, cycles do not trap us. They carry us forward, each day like the last, and yet unlike. Each season familiar, and yet changed. Each life a return, but also an evolution. This spiral is everywhere, in the shells of snails, in the pattern of galaxies, in the unfolding of ferns, in the twisting of DNA itself. The spiral is the circle, moving forward, the eternal return, becoming eternal growth. Now, bring your attention back to yourself. Feel your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale again. The smallest cycle, the deepest teacher. Feel your heartbeat. Steady, rhythmic, patient. Each beat a return. Each beat a reminder that you are alive inside the wheel. Notice the rise and fall of your thoughts, the way they come, fade, and come again. Even your mind is not still. It circles, it returns. You are not separate from the universe's cycles. You are their expression. You are made of stars that burned, died, and were born again. You are guided by Earth's turning, by the moon's waxing, by the sun's rising. You are a creature of rhythms, carried in the endless return. And so, in science as in myth, the circle appears. Galaxies merge and are reborn. Stars explode and seed new stars. Earth turns, the moon waxes, the seasons change. Your heart beats, your breath flows, your cells divide, habits return, history repeats, memory loops. And even in the equations of physics, time itself may be a circle. This is not a prison. It is a lullaby, a reassurance that endings are never final, that every loss is part of renewal, that every breath returns. So as you rest tonight, let the cycles carry you. Let the rhythm of your breath be enough. Let your heart's beat remind you that you belong to the endless turning of existence. And as you drift into sleep, remember, you are not a line rushing to an end. You are a circle, a spiral, a rhythm written into the fabric of the cosmos. In the next part of our journey, we will leave science for something more personal. The cycles of meaning, the cycles of story, the cycles of our own inner lives. But for now, rest, breathe, return, The wheel turns, and you turn with it. We have looked at science. We have seen how galaxies dance, how stars are born and reborn, how Earth turns and life itself repeats. But science is only one way of seeing. Long before telescopes and equations, human beings turned to something older, something softer, something woven not from facts, but from wonder. They told stories. When faced with mystery, they shaped it into myth. When faced with fear, they painted it with symbols. When faced with the question of life and death, they whispered, "Perhaps nothing ends. Perhaps everything returns." And so, in firelight and temple, in cave and meadow, they told stories of rebirth, of eternal return, of the soul's journey through countless lives. Tonight, we will wander into some of these stories, not to prove them, not to deny them, but to rest inside their music. Because myths, too, are cycles. They rise, they fade, and then they rise again. In India, for thousands of years, people have spoken of samsara, the wheel of existence. But beyond philosophy, there are stories. One tells of a traveler who comes to a river. On the far shore is liberation, freedom from the cycle of rebirth. On the near shore is the world of life and death, of joy and sorrow. The traveler steps into the water, but each time he nears the far shore, the current pulls him back. Again and again he tries. Again and again he is carried back. At last, exhausted, he stops struggling. He rests in the water. And in that stillness, he realizes that the current itself is illusion, that there is no far shore, that liberation is not across the river, but within him. In that moment of recognition, the cycle loosens. The story tells us that life is not a punishment, not a trap. It is a wheel we are meant to see, a rhythm we are meant to awaken within. In Buddhism, countless parables speak of the soul's journey. One tells of a monk who asks the Buddha, "How many lives have I lived?" The Buddha smiles and says, "Imagine a mountain, a mile high, a mile wide, a mile deep. Once every 100 years, a bird flies over it, brushing it lightly with a silk scarf. The time it would take that scarf to wear the mountain down to nothing is less than the time you have already wandered in birth and death." The monk listens, stunned. The point is not despair, but perspective. Life is vast. The cycles are long. And yet, within that vastness, awakening is possible. Another tale speaks of the Buddha himself, who in countless lives before his final one practiced patience, compassion, generosity. He was a rabbit who leapt into a fire to feed a starving traveler. He was a king who gave away his riches to the poor. He was a bird, a fish, a sage, a wanderer. Each life a step, each step a turning. Until at last, he awoke fully. These stories remind us, we have been many things. We may be many things still. And within each turning is the chance to learn, to soften, to grow. Far from India, in ancient Greece, whispers of reincarnation also stirred. The Orphic mysteries, secret traditions devoted to the poet Orpheus, taught that the soul was trapped in a cycle of rebirth. Life after life, the soul wandered, clothed in new bodies, weighed down by past mistakes. Only through purification, through wisdom, through harmony with the divine, could it escape the wheel. Pythagoras, the philosopher of numbers, is said to have remembered his past lives. He claimed once to have been a warrior, another time a fisherman, another time even a humble craftsman. To him, mathematics revealed eternal truths, and reincarnation was one of them. Later, Plato too would write of the soul's return. In his dialogue, Phaedrus, He describes souls falling into bodies, forgetting their true nature, then rising again after death to glimpse the realm of eternal forms. Each life a chance to remember, each cycle a return to truth. In the misty lands of the Celts, stories tell of warriors who believed they would fight, fall, and be reborn to fight again. Death was not an ending, but a turning. The cycle of battle and honor stretched beyond one life, weaving courage into eternity. In Norse myth, too, there's a great cycle. The world itself, they said, would end in Ragnarok, a battle of fire and frost, gods and giants. The earth would burn, the seas would rise, the sky would fall. But from the ashes, the world would be born anew. Green shoots would rise from the soil, gods would return, and life would begin again. Even here, in the cold north, the circle whispered. Even here, endings were not final. Rest for a moment in these stories. Breathe slowly. Imagine yourself as the traveler at the river, trying again and again until you realize the far shore is within you. Imagine yourself as the monk, hearing that the mountain will one day wear away, and yet awakening is still possible. Imagine yourself as the warrior who rises again, or as the world itself, reborn from ashes into green. The details may differ: rivers, mountains, battles, rebirths. But the music is the same. The soul, the world, life itself. None are straight lines. All are circles. All are returns. Among the oldest and most beloved symbols of rebirth is the phoenix. In Egyptian myth, it was called the Bennu bird, born from the waters of creation, radiant and eternal. In Greek and Roman tales, it became the fiery bird we know. Golden feathers, eyes like stars, a song that brought both sorrow and peace. The phoenix lives long, some say 500 years, some say more. But it does not wither into weakness. When its time comes, it builds a nest of spices and branches. It rests inside, sings one last song, and bursts into flame. All that remains is ash. But from that ash, a new phoenix rises, young, radiant, ready to live again. The story is not only about immortality, it is about trust in destruction. The phoenix reminds us that fire is not only an end, but also a beginning. That when all seems lost, renewal waits quietly in the ashes. And perhaps, in our own lives, we are all phoenixes. Each time we lose something precious, each time we fall, each time we feel consumed by flame, there is also the chance to rise again, changed but alive, new but continuous. Another symbol, older still, is the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail. It appears in Egyptian texts, in Greek alchemy, in Norse myth. A circle made of itself, a creature that consumes and renews itself endlessly. The Ouroboros is strange, unsettling, but also comforting. It tells us that endings and beginnings are not separate, but one. That life feeds on itself, that time loops back upon itself. Alchemists took the Ouroboros as a symbol of eternity. Mystics saw in it the unity of all things. Modern thinkers see in it the perfect emblem of cycles. Self-sustaining, endless, whole. Look at it closely, in your imagination. The serpent's body curves round and round, the head at the tail, the mouth at the source. It is both eating and being eaten, dying and living, ending and beginning. To meditate on the Ouroboros is to feel the paradox of return, that you are both the past and the future, both what dies and what is born. Each night, without fail, we enter another cycle, the cycle of sleep and dream. In many cultures, dreams were seen as journeys of the soul, rehearsals for death and glimpses of rebirth. The Greeks told of Hypnos, god of sleep, and his brother Thanatos, god of death. Sleep was called the little death, a nightly return to silence from which we always awaken renewed. In Native American traditions, dreams were seen as another world, parallel to this one, where the spirit wandered, learned, and returned with guidance. Even today, we know that dreams come in cycles. Sleep deepens, dreams rise, fade, return. 4, 5, 6 times each night, we circle through this rhythm. Each morning, we awaken as if reborn, our minds refreshed, our bodies renewed. Perhaps this is why so many traditions link sleep to the great cycle of life and death. Each night, we die a little. Each morning, we are born again. The wheel turns not only across lifetimes, but across days. Why do human beings, across so many cultures, return to these images? Phoenixes, serpents, dream journeys, cycles of rebirth. Perhaps because we fear endings. Perhaps because we sense that endings are not the whole truth. Stories of return soften our fear. They remind us that ashes carry seeds, that sleep carries awakening, that death may carry birth. Perhaps, too, because we see cycles everywhere. In the sun and moon, in the seasons, in our breath and heartbeat. It would be strange not to imagine our souls moving the same way. And perhaps, most of all, because stories themselves are cycles. Each time a tale is told, it dies in the air and is reborn in the ear. Each generation retells, reshapes, renews. The phoenix, the Ouroboros, the wheel of samsara. They live because we tell them again and again, each time new, each time the same. Take a moment to rest in these symbols. Imagine the phoenix rising from ashes, golden and radiant. Imagine the Ouroboros circling upon itself, endless and whole. Imagine yourself falling into dreams, dying a little, waking renewed. These are not just stories. They are mirrors of the rhythms already within you. They are metaphors for what you already live, endings that become beginnings, cycles that carry renewal, nights that lead to mornings. Let them soothe you. Let them remind you that nothing is ever truly lost, that what ends returns, that what falls rises, that what fades is reborn. And so, in myths and parables, in Phoenix and Ouroboros, in dreams and returns, we see the same truth written in symbols. Life is not a line. It is a circle. It is a story told over and over, each time slightly new, each time slightly the same. In the next part of our journey, we will turn inward, into the stories we ourselves live, the patterns of memory, the cycles of identity, the echoes of our own lives repeating. But for now, rest in these ancient tales. Close your eyes if they are not already closed. Feel your breath moving in and out. Feel the rhythm of your heart. Know that you are part of the same story, the phoenix, the serpent, the dreamer, because the wheel of myth is the wheel of life, and it is turning, always turning, carrying you gently onward. And so, in myths and parables, in Phoenix and Ouroboros, in dreams and returns, we see the same truth written in symbols. Life is not a line. It is a circle. It is a story told over and over, each time slightly new, each time slightly the same. In the next part of our journey, we will turn inward, into the stories we ourselves live, the patterns of memory, the cycles of identity, the echoes of our own lives repeating. But for now, rest in these ancient tales. Close your eyes if they are not already closed. Feel your breath moving in and out. Feel the rhythm of your heart. Know that you are part of the same story. the phoenix, the serpent, the dreamer. Because the wheel of myth is the wheel of life, and it is turning, always turning, carrying you gently onward. We have walked through the cycles of science and story. We have listened to galaxies breathing, to myths of phoenixes rising, to serpents circling their own tails. Now, we pause. We let the stories drift like clouds, and we turn to silence, to reflection. Because sometimes the deepest wisdom does not arrive as an answer, but as a question. Sometimes the softest peace does not come from knowing, but from wondering. Tonight, let us wonder together, slowly, gently, not to solve, but to rest. If you lived this moment again, what would you notice? Would you notice the air moving in and out of your lungs, like a tide washing a quiet shore? Would you notice the warmth of the blanket, the way it cradles you, like earth cradles a seed? Would you notice the silence, not as emptiness, but as fullness, a space alive with the soft hum of life continuing all around you? If this exact moment were to return endlessly, what would you linger on? The way your body releases its weight into the bed, the way your mind hovers, not quite awake, not yet asleep, the way the world feels suspended, as if time has slowed to a gentle circle. Perhaps you would notice your own heartbeat, steady, patient, rhythmic. Perhaps you would notice the way your breath, without effort, without command, continues faithfully. Inhale, exhale, return. And if you knew you would live this moment again, not once, but 1,000 times, would you soften into it more deeply? Would you let go of worry? Would you simply allow it to be enough? If eternity is the return of small things, what details would you treasure? The faint scent of the room, clean sheets, cool air, the trace of night. The way your eyelids grow heavy, fluttering like wings of a bird coming to rest. The subtle shift of muscle as your body searches for stillness. These are not grand things. They are not dramatic. But perhaps eternity is made not of grand gestures, but of details. Perhaps the eternal return is not a replay of history's loudest moments, but of its quietest. The touch of skin on fabric, the rhythm of breath, the small comfort of safety. Would you pay attention differently if you knew these details mattered forever? Would you notice more carefully, more lovingly, the ordinary miracles that surround you? Memory is a cycle too. Moments long gone rise up again, alive in the mind. A song, a scent, a place can return you instantly to another time, another self. What if memory is proof that life circles? What if the act of remembering is the act of living something again? Think of a memory you carry, a childhood afternoon, a face, a laughter, a walk in sunlight. When you recall it, it is not gone. It is here, alive now. The past returns in the present. If this is true, then every moment you live tonight may return, not only in cosmic cycles, not only in future lives, but in the gentle loop of memory. And so nothing is lost, nothing is wasted. Each moment is both now and forever. If you knew that this quiet night would live again in your memory, perhaps years from now, would you breathe into it more fully? Would you let it imprint gently upon you, knowing it may one day circle back to comfort you? If life repeats, is every kindness eternal? Think of the smallest kindness you've ever given. A smile, a door held open, a word spoken softly when it was needed. What if that gesture is not fleeting, not forgotten, but endless? What if it returns each time the cycle turns, echoing through eternity? Then kindness is not small. It is infinite. Each gentle act ripples forever, Each compassionate glance reverberates without end. And what about the kindnesses you have received? Think of a moment when someone was there for you, when someone's presence, someone's love, someone's patience eased your burden, even for a breath. If the wheel of life turns, then that kindness too is eternal. It does not vanish. It circles back. Again and again, you are loved. Would you see your relationships differently if you knew they were woven into infinity? Would you forgive more quickly, knowing that love, not anger, is what repeats? Would you cherish more deeply, knowing that every gesture, every moment of care is a seed that grows forever? Even now, as you rest, you are practicing kindness. By giving yourself to stillness, by choosing rest over struggle, you are being kind to your body, kind to your mind. What if this choice, to rest, to breathe, to soften, is also eternal? What if every time you return to this moment, the act of resting repeats as well? Then sleep is not only for tonight, it is for always. It is a kindness that echoes through eternity, a gift you give yourself forever. Take a slow breath. Inhale, exhale. Notice the cycle. Notice how it returns. Rest in the thought that this breath may be eternal, that even as it passes, it circles, that it belongs to a rhythm larger than you, yet also entirely within you. Notice, too, that kindness is not only outward, it is inward. Every breath you take is kindness to your body. Every pause you allow is kindness to your soul. And if eternity is real, then these kindnesses are not lost. They return. They repeat. They are eternal. If life is a circle, then even the smallest kindness does not vanish. It is not a flicker extinguished, but a light that returns again and again. What if every gentle touch you have offered, a hand placed on another's shoulder, a hug given without words, repeats forever? What if each act of generosity you have given, a meal shared, a coin offered, a moment of your time, is not gone, but eternal? The wheel remembers. The circle carries it forward. The universe, in its rhythm, ensures that kindness does not dissolve. It echoes. And if kindness is eternal, then cruelty is too. Which would you choose to live again and again? Which would you choose to plant in the soil of forever? Perhaps this is why love feels so powerful. Not because it happens once, but because it resonates endlessly. Each smile, each word of care is a note in an eternal song. And even if the cycle is only metaphor, not fact, still the feeling of kindness lingers, repeating in memory, repeating in hearts. So what if every kindness is eternal? Would you live differently? Would you soften? Would you allow compassion to flow more freely, knowing that every drop returns like rain? And now, another question. What if sleep itself is a rehearsal for eternity? Each night, you close your eyes. The world fades. Your awareness dissolves. The self you carry, your name, your story, your worries, slips away. For hours, you do not know yourself. You drift in dream, in silence, in nothingness. And yet each morning, you awaken, reborn, renewed, returned. What if this cycle is not only rest, but practice? What if each night teaches you how to let go? What if each morning teaches you how to begin again? Perhaps sleep is the gentlest teacher of all, showing us that endings are not to be feared because they lead to new beginnings. That falling into darkness is not destruction, but transformation. That surrender is not loss, but renewal. Even within sleep, there are cycles. You drift into light sleep, sink into deep sleep, rise into dreaming, then circle back again. 4, 5, 6 times each night, this rhythm carries you. Dreams come, fade, and return. You wander through landscapes of memory and imagination, then awaken with fragments, with images, with feelings, and the cycle repeats. What if these nightly cycles are reflections of larger ones? What if the way you fall asleep and wake again mirrors the way life itself falls and rises? Perhaps death is like deep sleep, and birth like waking. Perhaps the wheel of samsara, of eternal return, is already here, every night, in your own body. And if that is so, then you already know eternity. You already practice it. Each time you close your eyes, you are rehearsing the great return. If sleep is practice for eternity, then what does it teach us? It teaches surrender, the willingness to let go of control, to release into something larger, to trust that morning will come. Tonight, as you rest, you are practicing that same surrender. You are laying down your burdens. You are stepping gently into the unknown, with faith that you will return renewed. And if you can trust sleep, can you trust life? Can you trust that the wheel carries you? That return is natural, that renewal is woven into the fabric of existence. Imagine this. Eternity is not endless time, but endless rhythm. Night and morning, sleep and waking, death and birth, again and again and again. If that is true, then this very night is part of eternity. Each breath you take in sleep is a note in an eternal symphony. Each dream is a rehearsal for infinity. And when you wake tomorrow, you will not only rise into a new day, but into another turn of the wheel, another echo of eternity's rhythm. So let us gather the questions. If you live this moment again, what would you notice? If every kindness repeats forever, how would you live? If sleep is a rehearsal for eternity, how would you rest tonight? The answers are not needed. Only the questions. Only the softness they bring. You are not rushing to conclusions. You are not striving for solutions. You are drifting, gently, in the circle of wonder. Feel your breath, in and out. Feel your heart, steady and rhythmic. Feel your body, sinking into rest. This is enough. This is eternal. This is the circle. And so, as Part 5 draws to its close, we have not solved the riddle of life, nor answered the mystery of eternity. We have simply asked, softly, gently, with patience, what if? What if this moment returns? What if kindness is eternal? What if sleep is the quiet rehearsal of forever? Let these questions drift with you into rest. Let them soften your thoughts, ease your breath, quiet your body. In the next part of our journey, we will turn from questions to something deeper, the cycles of responsibility, of connection, of how we live knowing the wheel turns. But for now, you need not think of what comes next. You need only rest in the circle of now, because this moment is eternal. This kindness is eternal. This sleep is eternal. And you are held gently within the turning. We have wandered far tonight, through galaxies and myths, through the cycles of breath and the endless return of stars. We have asked whether life is a line, whether it is a circle, whether it is something stranger still, a spiral, a song, a dream, returning again and again. Now, at last, we arrive at stillness. The journey slows, the words soften, the story folds itself into silence. You do not need to hold on to anything. You do not need to remember. You do not need to follow. You may simply let the words drift past you, like leaves floating on a quiet river. Whether life is a straight line or a circle without end, you are safe within it. Safe as the stars are safe in the sky. Safe as the ocean is safe in its tides. Safe as the seed is safe in the soil, waiting for spring. Feel the safety now. The bed beneath you holds you as the earth holds all things. The blanket around you wraps you like the atmosphere wraps the planet, soft and steady. Your breath continues, without command, without effort. Inhale, exhale. The cycle never fails. Your heart continues, faithful, rhythmic, unbroken, beat after beat, like footsteps walking you gently toward tomorrow. You are part of the universe's rhythm. You do not need to control it. You are carried by it. You belong to it. Imagine yourself floating on a river. The water moves slowly, steady and sure. You do not need to paddle. You do not need to steer. The current knows where it is going. It carries you effortlessly. The surface glimmers with moonlight. The banks drift by like shadows. You are safe. You are carried. Or imagine yourself as stardust, drifting in space. No weight, no sound, only stillness. You drift among constellations, each star watching gently as you pass. You are light as a feather, glowing faintly, dissolving into the great dark that is not frightening but tender. Or imagine yourself as the tide, rising, falling, advancing, returning. The water pulls back, then comes again, each wave softening the sand, smoothing the shore. You are the tide. You are the rhythm. You are the return. Or imagine yourself as snow, each flake falling slowly, silently, perfectly. The world grows quieter as you descend, softer, gentler, until everything rests beneath a white hush. You are that hush. You are that stillness. Or imagine yourself as a lantern. The flame burns steady, then flickers low, then dims, not extinguished but settling into embers, glowing faintly, resting, waiting for morning to rise again. Each image is true. Each image is you. River, stardust, tide, snow, lantern, all are metaphors for rest. All are ways of saying, you are safe, you are carried, you may let go. The breath as lullaby. Come back now to your breath. Inhale, exhale, again, inhale, exhale. Notice how it rises, how it falls. Notice how it returns. Each breath is a wave on the ocean of your body. Each breath is a star pulsing in the sky of your chest. Your breath is a lullaby. Listen to it. Inhale, the note rising. Exhale, the note falling. A soft song sung only for you. You need no other music. You need no other rhythm. Your breath is enough, and as you listen, let it carry you deeper. Each inhale lifting you gently. Each exhale lowering you softly. Rising, falling, rising, falling. Like a cradle rocking. Like a boat on still waters. Like the turning of the earth itself. Now, in your imagination, look up at the night sky. See the stars scattered endlessly. See their light, some of it traveling millions of years to reach you. Each star a cycle, burning, fading, burning again in another form. Let that sky sink into you. Each star becomes a thought, glowing and fading. One by one, the thoughts dim. One by one, the stars go quiet. Until your mind is a sky at peace, vast and still. Stars do not hurry. Stars do not worry. They shine. They fade. They return. You too may shine. You too may fade. You too may rest and return. You are not apart from the stars. You are their dust, their echo, their child. And as they rest in their cycles, so do you. Imagine now a forest at night. The trees stand tall and silent, their leaves rustling softly in the dark. Birds have folded their wings. Animals have curled into burrows. The wind moves slowly, brushing the branches like fingers brushing strings of a harp. The forest is not empty. It is resting. Every root, every leaf, every creature trusts the cycle of night. They do not resist. They surrender. and in their surrender, they are safe. You are that forest. You are those trees. You are the life that rests, that trusts the dark, that waits patiently for dawn. Notice how the words repeat. Breath, stars, river, tide. This is intentional. This is the rhythm of rest. Repetition is not dullness. Repetition is comfort. Repetition is the wheel turning, steady and sure. Every night you have ever slept was a rehearsal for this one. Every night you will ever sleep is a return to this same rhythm. There is no failure here. There is no rush. Sleep comes not by force, but by return. It is not an achievement. It is a cycle. And the cycle already knows you. You are safe. You are whole. You are part of something vast and eternal. But you are also here, now, in this single, precious moment. The world around you continues in its own cycles. The moon moves across the sky. The oceans rise and fall. The earth turns toward morning. And within all of this, you are carried. Nothing is required of you. Nothing is demanded. You may simply let go. And now imagine silence itself as a cycle. The quiet between breaths, the stillness between heartbeats, the pause between thoughts. This silence is not empty. It is alive. It is full. It is the universe holding its breath with you. Rest in that pause. Rest in that silence. It belongs to you, and you belong to it. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. The rhythm returns, as it always does. Your body knows the cycle. Your breath does not forget. Your heart does not forget. They are ancient, older than memory, older than stars. Even as you drift, even as thought dissolves, the rhythm continues faithfully. It will carry you through sleep, through dreams, through silence, and back again to morning. The cycle is not only outside you, it is inside you. You are the rhythm. You are the return. Now, imagine again the night sky, a sea of stars above you, each one distant, each one eternal. Some are gone, their light still traveling, still arriving, still shining as if they remain. Some are just beginning, newborn stars still gathering their fire, yet to you they are all present, all shining, all part of the same sky. You are like those stars. You are both memory and beginning. You are both fading and arriving. You are both past and present, here in this one soft moment. And below those stars, imagine an ocean. The waves rise, the waves fall. They do not resist. They do not hurry. They return endlessly to the shore. Your breath is the tide of that ocean. Each inhale a wave arriving, each exhale a wave returning. You are both star and ocean. You are both light and tide. And both remind you, rest is natural, return is certain. Sleep is simply the wheel continuing its turn. The words repeat, because repetition is the way of rest. Breath, stars, tide, cycle. Breath, stars, tide, cycle. Over and over, like beads on a string, like footsteps on a path, like waves meeting the sand. You do not need newness now. You need return. You need the safety of rhythm. You need the comfort of circles. So let the words circle. Let them repeat. Let them lull you, like a cradle rocking. Imagine yourself lying in a meadow beneath the stars. The grass is cool beneath you. The night air is soft. Above, the constellations turn slowly, silently. Time does not press here. You are not hurried. You are not burdened. You are simply lying in the turning sky, held by earth, watched by the stars. Or imagine yourself as a feather carried on a slow breeze. The air lifts you, lowers you, lifts you again. You do not struggle. You do not control. You surrender, and the wind carries you where you need to go. Or imagine yourself as a seed beneath soil. The earth above you is warm, protective, gentle. You are safe in the dark. You are resting, waiting, gathering strength. One day you will rise, but not tonight. Tonight, you rest in the soil, in the stillness, in the womb of the world. Remember now, you are not separate. You are not an outsider looking at the stars. You are made of the stars. You are made of the ocean. You are made of the breath that flows without end. The calcium in your bones was forged in stars long gone. The iron in your blood was born in supernova fire. The breath you take is shared with trees, with oceans, with winds that circle the globe. You are not small. You are not alone. You are part of the great belonging. And in this belonging, you are safe to rest. The journey slows further now. The words are fewer, the pauses longer, the silence deeper. Inhale, exhale. You are floating now, on river, on tide, in stars, in sleep. The cycle holds you, the rhythm carries you. Nothing more is asked, nothing more is needed. And so, as the night deepens and your thoughts fade into dream, remember this: because the story of Earth isn't over, it's just getting started. Until then, sleep well, stay curious, and remember, you're not just on Earth, you are of it. Good night from Infinite Earth Stories.